like your credits went through just fine. Fantastic. Now, where was I? Right. You were asking about the mercs, Nox Solaris. Well, friend, you have come to the right man. Been their humble street pharmacist since just after they got together. Some of my best clients, by the way. But more importantly for you, they're the best there is at what they do. I mean, what a group. Leader's a bona fide Atlantean voyager. That's right, Atlantean. Then there's the spooky techno-wizard cyborg genius. Finally, a mystic smithy giant. 12 feet tall if he's an inch. Not to mention the mountain of a spirit bear he calls brother. Now, I can get word to him if you're looking to hire Mister. No problem there. Just let old Blitz give you 2 tiny tips for your health. First, don't get on their bad side. Make sure you have payment ready to go, and don't try to pull any bullshit, or you're worse than dead. And second, don't piss off that fucking bear.
Finally, there you are. The Nexus had just enough power to fuel one more try. The last step. The Megaverse knows my Atlantean people as heroes, but a shadow of chaos has taken root in me. They try to bind it. They try to bury it. But when I finally called out to it, to you, from across the void, you answered, I am ready.
Welcome, traveler, to the Black Shore.
Your shame reaches a mother's heart, even beyond the veil, little brother. My sister saw and mocked her as the darkness closed in. She giggled and synthesized honey-sweet tones while leaning close to softly breathe her venom into my ear. And so, with judgment passed and tourniquets in place, my family commanded the automated surgical bots to neatly slice both arms and legs from my torso. The harsh lights overhead swam and dimmed before my eyes, as flesh and bone were replaced with cold, unfeeling metal to cripple my connection to the arcane. Now, my family lies far behind my path, and I follow a new teacher as she whispers from the darkness ahead. Her voice haunts me with promises of forbidden knowledge and wonders precious beyond compare. Each step brings me closer to my prize, closer to my revenge, closer to her.
Nah, brother. My eyes read the stars as keenly as your ancient ones do. It is almost here. E is almost home. And with him comes the end for our proud and noble Vana countryman, along with the rest of the souls on this world. As his foul shadow falls upon us all, we alone stand for those who cannot. So rise, son of Aku. Our ancestors smile upon us this night as they call us home. Come and let us earn our place amongst the stars above.
All right, welcome to this week's episode of Prism of KeterFall, our RPG that we're using the Roll20 tabletop to present the Palladiumbooksrifts game system to you with our story. Our characters are Akama, Ren, and Ymir. We will jump right into it as to save time today. We find our characters in an underground mystical smithing site, a arcane forge, if you will, where a very, very powerful arcane crucible set up with multiple different types of enchantments appears to be kind of the power source for the room overall. This one item has been revealing itself to be much more mystical than anything else in sight of the players, and in its smoky, steamy presence is where we currently find our heroes. Down here in this darkened area, some of the players are able to see a little more than others with the benefit of night vision, but where we're going to pick up is with Ymir, our Vana half-giant Kuznia mystical smith. He has just participated in a forging process at the behest of this individual, Forge Master Drago. He was requested to forge a very specific kind of key, which was going to access the patron, if you will, of his mystical abilities, or that specific sphere of energy and influence. And as the key was finished and crafted, Drago approached Ymir at his side, greedily and hungrily and anticipatorily asking him to quickly insert the key that Ymir has forged into the silver anvil before him. There is a name that has been etched on the anvil, obviously the owner of said artifact, and through the name, a large gouge has been scratched, almost nullifying it appears in some way. And Drago has asked Ymir to place his newly formed key into that slash through the name on the anvil and turn the key. Now, Drago has approached. He also bears a key that he seems to have just forged at the front of the crucible itself on a small altar. His key looks identical to the one that Ymir has forged, although the forging of Ymir's key has left the tip a luminous, almost translucent, softly glowing, bluish white light. There are little flecks and sparkles of red throughout the energy pattern. Drago's key, however, looks almost completely molten and seems to be flecked with little shimmering specks of silver and gold. As we pick up at this moment, Ymir's companions Akama and Ren stand behind a closed and barred door. Sorry, I don't know if I just moved you out of place there. Stands behind a closed and barred door after being told that any other mystical enchantments could interfere with this process, with this ritual going on in the room itself. Warnings came that something cataclysmic as far as a magical reaction could actually transpire if others were to interfere. And so, as we find the other participants of this ritual, each surrounded by a white, rising, luminous kind of circle coming up from the ground, the light shining and casting eerie shadows across their face as the crucible does the same from before them. You see that each one of them is actually in a focused and meditative state, apparently lending their own smithing and magical properties to this ritual itself. I think that sets the scene pretty nicely for us. Ymir, we're going to pick up with you. The last thing that was left undecided was, what will you do?
Ymir looks at the reaction of the lore master, and he reads the... It's unnatural for most Kuznia, and it explains why he may have fallen. That greed in his eyes, that's very discerning to Ymir, because it's not typical. And though from what he remembers from what Lars told him about the master is good, his master is good to the community, but there's something off about him, Ymir pauses and holds his half of the key back from Drago's eyes and goes, "No. Not before you show me who you really are. Show me your stories marked on your flesh as we've been known to do. Tell me who you really are, Drago, in our language."
Okay, at this, Drago gnashes his teeth together as his demeanor changes from one of anticipation and excitement to one of seething, bubbling hatred as he glares up into your eyes through gnashed teeth. He mutters in your native language, Russian, "Do not disrespect me before my subjects. These men need to know nothing of my past." And with this, he just stares at you coldly, shaking with anger.
How do I know what you do does not go against the will of Vidar himself? if I do not know who you truly are.
Okay.
And Ymir's voice is more boisterous and more like his ancestors. Maybe
Okay.
it's something to do with his vocal cords. Maybe there's some deep underlying harmonic power that resonates from his words as he speaks.
Okay, so as you for the first time kind of embrace this new kind of variance in your own voice that you had awakened not long ago, you realize that the emotion that you project directly affects that kind of resonance, that strange harmonic that begins to be produced deep within the sides of the rear recesses of your throat. And as you do this, you actually see him physically, his hair, his clothes, even sweat from his brow, whipped back as though a strong wind has just impacted him full on in front. And as this happens, he at first widens his eyes greatly in shock and then narrows them against the increased pressure that he's experiencing. Now, this kind of pressure wave only happens for just a half a second at most, but it's enough to send all kinds of sparks up and to send, dust and papers and so forth flying around in the room considerably, and to topple over a few small, knickknacks here and there that were on tables and boxes and so forth. The chains overhead begin jingling as their stillness is disturbed high above in the darkness. And the kind of cacophony of noise that exaggerates your statement is then punctuated by a really, really poignant silence that seems to fall over the room. Even the chanting of the other smiths goes low and quiet. And as you look down upon Drago, his narrowed eyes very quickly close in supplication. He bows his head slightly and he says, "Very well." He turns around slowly and reaches one arm up behind him and pulls his shirt up, revealing to you an intricate and elaborate set of cultural tattoos that were actually a kind of cover-up that was done over what you know to be his actual heritage tattoos of his smithing and his connection with that. And as you look at the ink, you're very quickly able to peer through all of the surface markings and all of the surface tattoos that were trying to obfuscate the true history that kind of shines through to one skilled in the arcane such as you, especially in this kind of discipline. And as you gaze upon the tattoos, very quickly brightened, almost arcane images leap from the skin, illuminating brightly in the darkness for your eyes only this man's story, ending with the final kind of severing tattoo at the base of his neck. As you look over the story, you're very quickly able to discern that because of his greed and his refusal to obey the tenets of the mystic Kuznia Smiths, his contemporaries massed together hunted him down and basically put a binding tattoo on him that would break his connection with Severog. So as you're looking all of this over, you make this realization right as he begins to drop the shirt, the last thing you see is almost like a notation on that final tattoo. You see that there is something, a small almost footnote, that reads, "In hopes that he will one day find his way to the light again." That's the gist of what the statement means.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
He drops the shirt and just slowly turns back around to you, looking at you stoically.
Ymir, for the first time, that the piercing, flaming look in Ymir's eyes to match his when they were almost battling each other, when their wills were battling each other, softens now once again. And Ymir looks at him and goes, "So you wish to re-find your connection with the true smithing god, but on your own terms, yes."
He bows his head very humbly this time and just simply says, "I."
Then I shall be the first of the one true bringers of this magic to you, to lead you back to Vidar himself. Let us re-anoint you now. And he, I guess, waits, maybe either they unite the keys together that way, like almost like Wonder Twins, where they both take their opposite sides and combine the key together, or Ymir can just hand it to. Okay?
Actually, the ritual needs to play out with you actually placing your key in and turning it first, and then him doing it.
Okay. Then Ymir
almost
slowly,
like a you open the door, you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Ymir then bows his head in reverence, sort of almost happy, because he's feeling like he's shepherding a lost soul back to the smithing god's true influence. And so he bows his head in reverence and walks towards the anvil and inserts the key.
Okay. You turn, and time seems to slow as you face the anvil. As you begin reaching forward, you notice that right away small arcs of energy are appearing between the key and the slash through the name on the side. As you slowly move the key forward, you notice that there is a kind of electrical, just static energy that seems to be emanating out from the anvil itself. And this is a very unfamiliar feeling to you. You've never quite experienced this with one of these kinds of anvils that are, your people's own, your smith's own kind of personal kind of anvil on which they craft and their own personal kind of like mark. Your experience with them, nothing like this ever. Not at all. As you get closer, I would like to very quickly switch over to Ren. Are you still just scanning the room with your rifle at the ready? Are you...
I'm not. I don't want to have the rifle out because I don't want to cause any. I just have it ready to like I'm just, I've got it in hand but not raised, basically.
Okay.
In case I need to pull it out. But like, in case someone sees me, I don't want them to, be alarmed and thinking that I'm aiming at them, because I don't want to interrupt the ritual, and was warned not to. But if something does happen, I do want to be ready enough. So I'm just ready, but not aiming.
Okay. All right. So you're ready to go, but not quite, taking aim at anybody.
I'm waiting to see if anything seems worthy of me actually, throwing the rifle up and start to aim through it to get ready to take a shot. But until then, I'm just standing at ready.
Okay.
He's holding the rifle, but not aggressively. But yeah.
I get you.
It's pointed at the ground currently, but it is in my hands. Yeah.
I get you. So people, if they're looking at you, they're not going to be like, "Oh, he's about to take a shot at us," but they also know you're being cautious. So, no worries at all. And let's switch over to Akama. What are you doing?
I am going to posture up a little bit to a point where not necessarily posturing up. I'm going to say more the lines of, in a very subtle way, that very discreetly, I want to pull out 2 knives. 2 of the little daggers I got.
Okay.
And,
like vibro knives or just regular mundane knives?
One of them was gonna be a vibro, and the other one was a regular
All right.
knife. Just nice and just in my palm, kind of like my hands to the side of my legs, but have the daggers kind of upside down, guiding up my wrist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, just still looking and basically darting my eyes from each and every single person that's inside.
All right, keeping a good watch out. I get you. All right, guys.
My boys are making sure my big ass is covered. That's what it is. They understand. Yep.
Fucking ape. All right, so as the key nears the slash mark, Ymir, you see that the mark itself begins to glow white hot and then seems to almost retreat backwards into the anvil itself, showing almost a nebulous, empty, black void where the mass of the anvil itself used to be. As you kind of peer in, the illusion, the kind of trick of light doesn't really capture your attention nearly as much as the fact that the key itself seems to be disappearing as you insert it into this kind of void. As you get to the very back of the key, the last bit of it disappears and slips out of your fingers, out of your grasp, and very quickly you see that the slash mark actually fills back in. And now you see the name is fully written without any kind of obfuscation or blemish to it. At this, you hear Drago take in a huge gasp of air out of just sheer shock and surprise that this has actually happened. As soon as this huge inhalation is exhaled, it becomes an incredibly loud, robust, from the belly laugh of pure excitement and joy. Okay? This bark of laughter echoes throughout the chamber that you stand in and runs easily up the stairs, reverberating back down and kind of echoing throughout this entire facility several times, kind of creepily as you're all watching. You see that his face is overcome by a wide, maniacal grin. He looks like a man who has just found the treasure promised to him as a child. And as an old man, he's realizing this lifelong dream. As he steps closer to the anvil, he holds up a hand almost in a kind of respectful but urgent manner towards you, Ymir, almost trying to kind of issue you out of the way. You know what I mean? Just kind of holding a hand up and sort of moving forward. You can tell it's not so much out of disrespect as much as anticipation.
Yeah, no.
Would you like to
Ymir's-
step back? Do you want to...
Yeah, Ymir will step out to the side, watching slowly, respectfully, letting this man follow, understanding that this man is walking into a new part of his destiny that he wants to finally be fulfilled. So he steps out of the way. He's just watching him intently the entire time as he does.
Do you want to go ahead and hold down Alt and then drag your token right where you'd like it to be?
Yes. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Right.
So you want to be right over...
He's right there. Yeah, I see.
Well, your
where-
gear is basically, right where you are right now. You had set your gear down right there. You could
okay.
stand right there at your gear. You could go wherever you'd like.
Oh, okay. Then I will step over to the other side of my gear, kind of out of the way, watching his path all going down like that, you know.
Okay.
That. Can you see the box I made? I forget how do you make lines? So I can
if you go over to the paintbrush.
Yeah.
And I think
draw.
just freehand.
Freehand, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'll move just to the opposite side of the bag of my gear, kind of, you know, where my tools were and everything, while he's walking like there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Okay,
perfect.
so as that happens, he just steps forward into position. He's now pretty much directly facing the anvil.
How do I get out of this?
Just go back up to the arrow at the top under the 3 lines.
Okay,
That's
gotcha.
select.
Oh, that's okay.
And, okay, so now that that is set, as Drago steps forward and takes the kind of molten key from his hand and starts guiding it forward towards his name on the anvil, you see that it just begins to simply melt into the anvil itself. And as each letter of his name starts kind of lighting up brighter and brighter, you can see that the key itself seems to be losing its heat and its enchantment. And when he finally gets to the end and slides the final bit in, the name is fully lit up and shining like a beacon of arcane energy. As this happens, we're going to need to go ahead and have Akama and Ren roll a perception check. Oh, god damn. God damn.
I can't even see what it rolled because it rolled under my name, so I could go to the log.
20, baby. That 20, baby.
Oh, I did. I got 20 now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a modified 20, but still, yeah.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Oh, I
That thing
see.
rolled
It's
forever.
20, so I was like, that. That's why I,
I think
said
I've got a
Oh. God damn, guys. You came to play today. All right.
What's going on over here?
So you both at the same time see this individual that had been previously called Shaker. He is standing with a rigid posture, looking forward, and for some reason he just looks really fucking suspicious. Now, you see that he has that weird hyper twitch reflex skin condition going where almost every bit of his visible skin is like twitching and shaking like a horse's back to get flies off. But you also notice that he seems to be kind of grinding his hoofs into the cobblestones. And you see that one of his hands that was holding the hammer, you see that it has disappeared into his pocket. And as you're watching, you both are seeing small flashes of a kind of purplish, arcing, strobing kind of light coming out of that pocket somewhere in the recesses of the apron. Now, whatever this strobing and light is, it is definitely not part of the ritual. You're both certain of that. You're both very familiar with the arcane, and this is something else going on for sure. Now,
I
usually,
drop my knee and raise my rifle and
okay,
bring it on him.
all right, you drop to your knee and raise a rifle. Ren is basically about to go into initiative. Akama, is there anything you want to do as you witness this?
I'm gonna shout, "Look out!"
Okay. All right, you shout, "Look out." This is enough to actually inform Ymir of what's going on. And at that moment, as you two become aware of it, now you've included him by using your kind of action to do that. Now, Ymir, you also kind of quickly gaze over and see this individual with this like purple light coming out of their pocket and their strange kind of demeanor now. You can be included as well in figuring out if there's some small action you'd like to take immediately. And we'll say, Akama, is there any other small thing you'd like to do as well? Did you want to ready a different weapon or any other kind of just a small action?
I would like to just spin around, look directly at the chitterer, like Ymir is
Face him?
staring face him,
Okay.
and maybe put my hand on the world maker that's still on the ground nearby, because remember, it was still slung over his shoulder, even though when I put my pack down, the world maker was still over his shoulder.
Yeah.
So maybe can I unsling the world maker?
Yeah,
and just
you could ready it and face him. That's
perfect.
yeah. Yep.
Perfect.
And Akama, go ahead.
I'm gonna cock back the vibro knife, get ready to throw it.
Okay. You get it completely ready. You want to turn on the vibro feature or leave it off? If it's off, it's going to do SDC.
I'm gonna turn it on as I'm throwing it, because I get a better stability holding it without it vibrating in my hand.
I get what you're saying. So think of it as just like a regular hunting knife that's somewhere on the handle itself. You've got a small like trigger.
Button, or like a
exactly. If you activate it,
yeah.
This is something they've never gone over in Rifts. I can't believe that. I actually like throwing knives, and I've never even thought of. If you went to throw a vibro knife, how the fuck would that work? I don't even. For the purposes of this right now, we're not going to slow things down, but I'm gonna revisit that because that's an interesting little kind of conundrum there. So you're not turning it on, but well, yeah, I mean it's like it's a high frequency field that surrounds the blade, so it's like, how do you hold on to it to throw? You don't throw a knife by holding the handle, you know what I mean? So anyway, okay, so you have it ready to throw, you've got it cocked back, and if you want to turn it on, you can. Just want to remind our viewers, mega damage equals 100 points of regular hit point damage, or SDC damage. So if you do 1d6 mega damage to something that's hit points and SDC, it's gonna just fucking Robocop their ass big time. So that's the kind of, you know, there's a layer of caution that characters and riffs have to kind of navigate, is what I'm trying to say. So
Question, GM.
absolutely.
Does it cost an action to turn it on?
No.
Or can it be
Nope.
part of the same action as me throwing?
Yeah, this is something I want to go over with you guys too when it comes to combat soon, but we've already kind of laid the groundwork for it. I will let you guys take one like regular action where it's like a full, you know, something where it'd require a roll or like a skill check or whatever, but you're also going to get a small bonus action as well where you can either move 1/4 of your full movement speed, okay? Or you can do some other small kind of really quick action like hitting a switch, shouting out a little, hey, look out, you know, taking out a grenade for next round, ducking behind something, right? Anything like that. The only place I kind of will start sticking up is if somebody says, I want to shoot my gun, then I want to turn and run and dive and get behind like this wall and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
If the wall is a ways away and it's this and it's that, you gotta, you know, it's more like I want to shoot my gun and then I want to duck behind the wall. You know what I mean? Or I want to shoot my gun and then just kind of try and haul ass this way and get started moving. Exactly. So I don't use really strict rules for any of this stuff because I prefer to just make sure the story keeps moving forward, but that's the basics that we're kind of applying. And as the viewers watch us go on, I'm going to keep adding in more and more layers of the actual Rift's combat mechanics to make things more developed and complex and give people more choices. But up until this point, we've been going at about 50%, where it's just sort of we're making sure everything makes sense to everybody, but I'm really trying not to bog people down with a lot of rules and mechanics that are just kind of tedious. So but these players are already picking everything up really quick, so there's not much more to layer in. So
since you explaining that, GM, I would like to revise my RP a little bit. Ymir spins around like he is, stares at the chitterer, readies his hammer, and primally roars at him, like, because of the blasphemy going on right now. He's interrupting this sacred ritual of his people and he's trying to bring Kuznia back to the light of the smithing gods. So Ymir is very upset at the disturbance.
I'll say this. The reason that we can prime that to get ready to happen, we could even have you take in a big breath. But because this was you basically just got fed a bonus action, not a full action. Does that make sense?
That's fine. Yes.
And absolutely. Now perfect. And I want you guys to understand that's why that happened that way, is Akama basically used his action to yell that out. Now we give Ymir like a bonus action at least to do a little something, and Akama's still going to get to do a little something. Ren used that whole time to actually draw down on this guy. He's ready to shoot. He's all ready
Yep.
to go. So
Yep.
so in a weird way, even though everybody did different shit, now we're all still in the same couple of seconds, and
Yes.
everybody is all set up. So
Perfect.
anyway, I just wanted to take
Yep.
a moment to really explain how that's all playing out in a
And
kind
I
of
hope
strange
that wasn't
situation like
an
this.
I
It's
hope that wasn't
perfect.
an issue bringing.
No,
Okay,
everybody's.
awesome.
This is great. I would prefer for you guys to learn it this way instead of doing, a couple of hours of just fucking going over the mechanics, because it's just
Right.
really tedious. So
Essentially, what we're down to is I'm aimed, ready to shoot. Akama has drawn his knife and shouted out, and basically, Ymir has basically readied an action to roar in the direction of the.
yep,
Ready
got his
to say-
hammer and
hammer,
took in a deep breath and is
hammer, yeah.
facing the guy ready to fucking scream. Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, and this is all before initiative, right? So, so now that this has happened, we're gonna go ahead. You all see that Shaker looks up at you, and there's a look of just kind of panic, and for the first time, you guys haven't really noticed this before, he's got this look of almost panic, but malice as well, almost like rage in his eyes, and his face, even though it's always pretty fucking ghastly, he has this sort of this grimace, like he's about to do something both very distasteful, but that he really wants to fucking do at the same time. It's a strange kind of cacophony of looks that are going across this creature's face. Now, as it looks over at all of you, you see that it starts moving its hand in its pocket, and it apparently is intending to start taking whatever it is out of its pocket. With that, let's go ahead and roll initiative.
Quick question, GM.
Yes,
By
sir.
me readying last round or pre-combat round, does that count as an aimed shot? Like
I
ready
will
to-
let you do that. I will let you go ahead. I wouldn't let you do an aimed called, but I would let you, because that takes 3 attacks, but you could do either an aimed or a called shot on your first attack. Absolutely. And it'll only take the 1 attack.
Okay, so I'm confused slightly though, because when it comes to ranged in modern, there is a strike aimed single, and then there's a strike aimed, and then there's a strike aimed pulse. So with me being a sniper, would that just be the aimed single, right?
Just the
Single
aimed
shot?
single, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The pulse would be like a weapon that is like a pulse weapon, and then
Correct. That's
Okay,
exactly
okay.
right.
And then, so the aimed single would work, and then the called would require another round for me to be able to do that one, correct?
Yes, if you were going to do one that took 3, we would have you wait and you'd sacrifice your first shot or your first attack, and on the next round you'd go ahead and pull the trigger and do it. If you want to just do the aimed or just the called, you could go ahead and just pull the trigger now and do it.
Okay. Just making sure.
And just so everybody's on the same page, aimed is going to give you like a +3 to strike, so it's just you're more sure to strike. Called, you have to hit above a certain range. I want to say it's, well, you have to get over 10 anyway for ranged combat. I
And
think
called
it's
is like basically where you're gonna hit them, correct?
yeah, I think that's a 14. I think that's a 14. And if you get a 14 or above, you hit them, but you hit exactly where you were trying to. And usually when you're applying, like, the damage rules, it's easy to say, okay, if this individual has like 50 hit points and you hit them like right in the foot with something that does like 10, you're pretty much going to just fucking obliterate their foot. You know what I mean? So a called shot can be very useful. You can take out communication systems, a weapon. You can do anything you could really think of like that. So it starts turning into something that's even more valuable sometimes than like a crit. So
GM, I see on my roll initiative, right? It's a +0. I think Kuznia have an initiative bonus on it, and it used to be on there, but I'm not sure.
I have not rolled yet because I forgot. Do I hit the TT to do it?
if you click on your token, and then
Oh, okay. I have to do that first. That's probably what I didn't do, right? I have to click on my token and then.
yeah, if you click on your token and then go into you remember you got to have your profile active.
Yeah,
You go down. I think you can do it that way in your actual character sheet.
I can do it that way.
And if not, there's this bar up at the top that says initiative roll to tracker.
Yeah, initiative roll to track.
We all rolled pretty poorly.
Double digits, baby.
Yeah, you barely
11.
got double digits.
Did you? Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do round. And then it's going to be +1. Okay, so this is the first round. And we want to order it descending. There we go. And then we'll just put round at top.
What the fuck? I got pushed back even though I'm the same number? That's bullshit.
Like that. Actually, if you guys have the same, go ahead and roll. Each of you just roll a straight 20-sided die, and that'll determine which of you guys goes first.
A D20?
Yep.
Damn you, man. Spicy, spicy.
Ren.
I don't know why it rolled. I don't know why it rolled 2 for me, but
I mean, regardless, still.
yeah.
Okay. So Ren is right here. Okay. Now, as far as everybody else, you guys are seeing as this melee kind of pops off, you're seeing that the other individuals in the room don't seem to really be taking any action. The two other smiths seem to still be kind of concentrating and chanting lowly, and Drago is just completely obsessed with what's happening in front of him with the anvil.
He's locked in ritual.
100%. So, Akama, you are up. What would you like to do first? Now, the bars are about 8 inches apart, so there's plenty of room if you want to try and, slip some kind of attack through or whatever. But as far as the actual sturdiness, they do look pretty goddamn solid. And just from a glance, you would guess that this is definitely some kind of mega damage like alloy. It's not just, mundane fucking steel. So
I would like to So, the enemy himself how is his posture? Is he like turned a little bit with his body? Is he straight squared with me?
He is actually turned towards. Here we go. He's turned towards the crucible.
So his back's toward me.
His left side is towards you.
Got you. So he's basically.
And that's the
facing towards
hand
me
that's
here.
in his pocket. So the hand in his pocket is literally like that side of him is facing directly towards you.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And in
I
the
want
other
to-
hand, he does have that instrument, and he's still just kind of very lightly. It's just barely
the
tapping
hammer,
on
but
the
the
ground.
hook
Exactly.
or whatever.
That's just
Okay.
he's kind of resting that on the ground, and he's not really doing anything with it.
So I am going to ready I guess a call shot. I want to aim for his elbow.
Okay. And you're activating the knife, the vibro field, or you're leaving it SDC?
I'm not turning it on until I'm throwing it. I'm just calling it, saying that once I see his elbow get to a certain point, I'm throwing it.
Oh, okay. So you're going to do a called shot, so you're waiting for next round, and once that rolls around, you're going to pull the trigger.
For his elbow.
I got you. Okay.
I will choose whether or not if I can if I want to throw it or not. But yeah, I'm basically in my mind getting ready to throw it
At his elbow. Perfect use of a called shot. Okay. So moving on, Ren, what do we got?
I'm going to wait till next round as well by doing a called shot, and I'm going to aim right for his fat, swollen throat.
Okay.
If he fucks with the shit, I'm going to pop the top of his head off.
All right.
One of those anime style ones where you see like the hole rip through his neck, and like a second later it's going to go like pop.
So as Ren, I just want to give the viewers very quickly an idea. So Ren right now has this aimed at that creature's throat. So we're expecting big results. Still, that looks pretty dope, bro. That looks pretty dope. Absolutely.
Since we haven't used this in ages and we were confused on the usage of it, if I was going to use my lightning shot, that's not an AoE at the moment, right? Did we decide that it wasn't, or is it still causing extra damage? I mean, I get if I miss and hit something, it's going to do some fucked up shit, but like if I
no, I don't think it should just do some crazy fucking.
So if I hit him, it's just going to hurt him. It's not going to fuck anything else around with my lightning shot.
Yeah, and didn't we say that the lightning, doesn't it hit and then a bolt comes down and hits?
It basically, when so when the bullet travels through the chamber, out the barrel, it changes it from a physical bullet into pure electricity. And when it hits him, it kind of just like shocks him. It's not like coming from the sky or anything like that. It's just like creating like a
So
electric.
it's like the bolt of lightning, instead of from top to bottom, is left to right. Like he's shooting the bolt of lightning from his rifle.
See, I thought when it hit the target, then
It basically creates
I thought
an
that's what
energy
it did to
field.
the
Yeah,
to the.
It creates an energy field that like strikes them with lightning. It's not coming from the sky. It's not like like
Oh shit!
blazing
Okay.
target where the sky striking them.
Shazam! It's
But it does look like they're getting struck by lightning, but it's not coming from way up high in the sky or anything like that. It's just creating an
Okay.
energy field where they get shocked.
Yeah, that's why I had done it that way with the vault door. When it hit the hinge, that's why the lightning came through and
Yeah,
arced through that way.
Maybe that was a past
Oh,
prototype.
it's
and
no
now
worries at all. I guess I hadn't understood that one right.
The little
Okay, so it's
war.
basically shooting a lightning bolt then is what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, but my idea for it was, and not trying to take up too much time, was
No, it's fine.
when you shoot it, it's not like you're not seeing a lightning bolt coming out of the tip of my gun. If you're seeing anything, you're not really seeing anything because it's traveling as fast as the bullet. You can't really watch a bullet, but it's turning from a bullet into electric energy, and once it hits its target, then it creates the shock, like the bolt of lightning. But it's not coming from the sky like that. It's just becoming a bolt of lightning on impact. So it's charged. It's basically like how do I describe this well?
So as it's moving through the air, it's not like elongating into lightning. It's like it still arrives as just a small packet.
It's a blue hot. It's turned into a blue hot plasma bullet basically, and when it hits, it opens. It's like a paintball. Once it hits, it pops, and that's where the spell. That's when the spell.
And it's just a huge burst of lightning from that point. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, which makes sense
So
then
maybe
that
like
it's.
Goku powering
it's
up,
not like
so
a
to
good-
say.
It's
Like
not
it
like once I
hits
shoot
you
it, looks
like,
like a Ghostbuster gun. It looks like a regular shot, but once it hits, it creates the effect.
Okay, I got you. Okay, and so just to make sure I'm straight, you're aiming at his throat.
Yes.
So you're doing you're doing an aimed called shot then, right? Because you were already.
Correct. I have the aim, and I'm going to do
Okay,
a called
so
shot.
next round. Okay, cool. And now we get to Ymir. What would you? Oh, go ahead.
Ymir primally roars at the chittering beast, interrupting the ritual, and slowly and deliberately takes his steps towards past the other smiths that are still enchanting, trying to not interrupt them. I don't know what I'm. Sorry, I moved your camera, Ren. My bad. Just trying to move. And he slowly walks up and he gets about here. And then that booming voice, the ancient primal voice of his ancestor, reverberates again. He looks the creature dead in his eyes through all his mania and madness and want to do what he does. Looks at him dead in his face and goes, "Your master told you not to interfere. I will not allow this." You're muted, Odin. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. So you want to scream when you're back here, and then
Yes.
move over to here. Is that right?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Okay. The first thing that happens is when you let out your scream. Go ahead and roll a 20-sided die.
All right. Let me move this turn order so I actually roll just one. There we go. Horrible.
Okay. As you let out this huge primal scream, you feel your throat kind of strain, and it doesn't quite produce the kind of effect that you're looking for. It's almost like a teenager's voice cracking. And as you do that, though, it's still a terrifying and really unsettling noise, about as loud as like an elephant trumpeting. It's incredibly loud. Now you see Drago kind of crouch down a bit, but he still stays enthralled by what's happening with the anvil. You do, however, see that this individual that they called Ahab, he actually falls to his knees and kind of winds up right next to the crucible's kind of mystic circles and patterns right on the perimeter of it, and you see that he kind of just sprawls out on the floor and right away kind of puts his hands over his ears and tries to kind of like regain his senses. You see his eyes are closed tight in pain, and he seems as though like he's just kind of shell-shocked a little bit. He doesn't really seem like he's injured or anything, though. As he falls over, you stride past him, and as you take up position right there, one more time, go ahead and say what you wanted to say to him.
He looks the chitterer dead in his face and goes, "Your master told you not to interfere. I will not allow this."
Okay, as you speak those words to it, let's see, it's its turn. As you speak those words to it, you see its face turn towards you. And as it turns towards you, it's a really eerie kind of calm seems to spread across its features. And for the first time, you see most of its twitching and gyration seems to subside, and it lets out this kind of deep breath. Now, as it takes several steps backwards from you, it simply removes what it had in its pocket and drops the object to the floor. Now, whatever this object is, there is an energy field coming off of it that is incredibly bright and hard to actually look at with the naked eye, even enhanced vision. Akama, as you're watching this through your enhanced sight, you see a strobing, very, very negatively charged beacon of energy. And I mean that literally. It seems to be a